Hello, and welcome to Major Carrales Teaches Social Studies and American History for the 8th grade. Ooh, mercantilism. A lot of students see this word and they get scared because it's really long. But it's actually kind of simple if you take it one step at a time. First things first, we need to identify if this is something that's going to be political, social, or economic. You know, where political means anything that deals with government, social means anything with how people live, and economic with money. If you're looking at the piggy bank and all that money, it's probably going to be about money. The word mercantilism actually comes from the word merchant, so it's going to have something to do with people making money. To be more specifically, it's like a game. The person who has the most gold is going to be the winner. The problem is when you buy something from somebody, you get the item, but you give up the gold. So you're not exactly making yourself powerful. This becomes more of a problem when you're a country. How can you buy things and get resources from other countries without sending your gold over there? The way you do this is you keep the money in the system. Now that's kind of hard to do. Well, in colonial times, it became a little bit easier. This was because the mother countries, like France and Spain and Great Britain, formed colonies. And what they would do is they would use those colonies to get the things that they would need. So the mother country or the colonizing country would usually make a colony, and that colony would provide raw materials, like wood, cotton, or other things that are just out of the forest or out of the fields. And it would go back to the colonizing country or the mother country, and they would turn the wood into furniture, the cotton into clothes, and then sell it back to the colony. That way, any money that was being exchanged was staying within that country's system instead of working with another country. That way, as we said before, all the money stays within the system. And this is the way that trade would go for many, many, many years, especially in the 16 and 1700s. But there is a problem with it. In this system, the mother country is always more important than the colonies. So if there's ever going to be a decision that's going to be made, that decision is going to mean the mother country is going to win, yay, and the colonies are probably going to lose. That's really bad if you're out in the colonies, which means that you never really matter as much as somebody. Now, in colonial America, this became a problem because people in Great Britain would look at people in the 13 colonies as being second class in every way. So if you were the greatest American, you weren't equal to the lowest Briton who was living in Great Britain at the time. Another sort of interesting thing that's often discussed with mercantilism is the idea of triangular trade. Triangular trade is simply as the colonies began to trade with mercantilism, they developed some trade routes. One particular one, which runs from Africa to the West Indies, involves slaves, and that's called the Middle Passage. As the slaves went across, they're taken to the islands where they work on sugar plantations. Many of them die there. The sugar is taken up to New England. There it is made into rum, and it crosses the ocean where it is sold. And it, along with other raw materials, continue the spirally motion in a triangle formation. What ends up happening is each time the triangle makes a cycle, more money is pumped into the system. So you want to keep that going. Now, the bad effect of that is that there's going to be slavery involved. The very last concept we're going to look at is actually one that you can apply in your life, and it is the idea of having a favorable balance of trade. Now, a favorable balance of trade is when you have more exports than imports. Remember, exports are things you are sending out. They are exiting your country. EX and exports like EX and exit. So when those goods go to other countries, you're selling them, and so you're getting money. And that puts money in your country's treasury, which is good. You want to have fewer imports. In other words, you don't want to be buying so much stuff from other people. The favorable balance of trade happens, like in this example here, where you have more exports. You got more money coming in than you have money going out. Now, in your life, you need to do that. Whenever you get a job, you need to make sure that your money in your paycheck is enough to cover all your expenses. So in other words, don't spend more money than you have. Favorable balance of trade is another sort of element of mercantilism. That's going to play a major role in, like, for example, the American Revolution, where the colonies now want to start kind of working for themselves, but they're still under the British. Now, I hope this has been very helpful. Mercantilism, as you can see, is not very difficult. Feel free to go back and forth and pause and look at all the material and listen to the stuff that I've said about it, and hopefully you'll gain an understanding of how mercantilism works. The next thing you need to look at is how mercantilism came to an end. There's going to be a guy named Adam Smith who's going to write a book called The Wealth of Nations, and that's going to start changing things from mercantilism to more free trade oriented activities. But that is for another day. For Memorial Middle School KMMS Radio, I'm Major Carrales. Have a great one.